Hello everyone. So after checking the content of the exam, he didn't pala need to discuss yung remaining topics of relevant costing because the make or buy decision is not included in the exam. So yeah, the problems there involves only sa special order decision whether or not to accept it or not. So yeah, let's proceed immediately to the decentralization topic. So I think you I think sa inyong module, gi-separate yung decentralization and responsibility accounting. Pero in essence talaga, both can be combined in a single topic. So at the end of this lesson, you are expected to be able to list and explain the advantages and disadvantages of decentralization and describe the different types of responsibility centers and explain how managers of each type are evaluated. So for the learning objective number one, we have the advantages and disadvantages of decentralization. But before that, let's discuss what is decentralization. So decentralization is the delegation of responsibility and decision-making authority throughout an organization. So this is the delegation of responsibility and decision-making authority to different types of management within an organization. So in a decentralized organization, the decision making is spread throughout the organization. Lower level managers are given the authority and responsibility of managing their individual units. So kasi in an organization, we already know na meron top level management, meron middle, and meron lower level management. So here in a decentralized organization, yung decision making authority is ibinigay na doon sa lower level managers. So those involved or responsible for their individual units, sila ang gagawa ng mga decision doon. So that is in a decentralized organization. While in a centralized organization, the decision making authority is kept at the very top of the organization. So high level executives make all the strategic and operational decisions and charge lower level managers with implementing those decisions. So sa centralized naman, sa top management ang gagawa ng mga desisyon and ang mag-i-implement ng mga desisyon na yon is yung mga nasa lower level managers. So let's proceed to the advantages of a decentralized organization. First, it recognizes that lower level managers may have more knowledge about their area of responsibility and can make quicker and more informed decisions. So, since in a decentralized organization, the decision making is at the lower level management, therefore, advantage siya because those people in the lower level management knows exactly what is happening in their individual unit. So, doon sa lower level, alam na yung nangyayari talaga sa mga gina gina-monitor nila. So, alam nila yung tamang desisyon. So, that is an advantage doon sa decentralized organization. And next, it fosters the development of managerial expertise. So, since decentralized siya, yung mga managers in the lower management, nagde-develop din sila because nasa kanila na yung authority to decide or to make decisions for their unit. So, nagkakaroon na ng expertise doon. Next, it allows the top management to focus on strategic issues without worrying about the day-to-day details. So, sa decentralized again, paulit-ulit na lang yung decision is in the lower level management. Therefore, advantageous siya sa top management because hindi na sila mag-focus sa mga tactical operations na day-to-day. Ang ilahan lang i-focus is yung mga more on long-term issues or the strategic issues na ilahang i-implement for the entire organization. Next, we have disadvantages. So some results, first time, sometimes it results in the duplication of resources when managers in multiple areas perform the same function. So disadvantage yung decentralization when it comes to let's say for example, sa imuhang organization na may tatlong units tapos each unit merong manager doon. So Di ito si manager, ang ginagawa ni manager A sa first unit at ginagawa ni manager B sa second unit and manager C sa third unit, the same lang. So there's duplication of resources where we can actually minimize it na lang if isa na lang yung manager na nag-manage sa tatlong unit because pare-pareho lang man sila ng work. So, disadvantage yun siya sa decentralized organization. Nagkakaroon ng duplication of resources. So, bala na tag ka ng empleyado na ginabayaran when in fact, pwede naman pala isa lang yung gumawa ng duty na yun. Next, it also gives managers the opportunity to make decisions that benefit themselves but are not necessarily in the best interest of the organization. So, sa decentralized organization din, magkakaroon din tayo ng times when katong mga nasa lower level management mag-decide na in their self interest without actually taking into consideration the whole organization. Kanang ilalang mga decision is based lang talaga doon sa kanilang unit without realizing na baka hindi pala siya good for the entire organization. Next, learning objective number 2. We describe the different types of responsibility centers and explain how managers of each type are evaluated. So, types of responsibility centers. So, in responsibility accounting, managers are given responsibility for a particular part of the business and are then evaluated based on performances in that area. The area of business that managers are responsible for is referred to as a responsibility center. So, one of the most important concepts in responsibility accounting is the controllability principle that states na managers should only be evaluated based on the things that are within their control. So, if you're a manager in the controllability principle states that you should only be evaluated based on the things that you are in control with. So in general, there are four types of responsibility centers that vary according to what manager can control and thus what he or she should be held responsible for. So we have the manager of a cost center is responsible for controlling the cost. Revenue center is responsible for generating the revenue. Manager responsible for generating profit, that is revenue minus the cost already, and the manager of an investment center is responsible for profit and the investment of such assets. So let's first discuss the cost centers. So cost centers managers have the authority to incur costs to support their areas of responsibility. So a common example of a cost center manager is a purchasing agent who is responsible for buying materials that will be used to build or repair a product. So if you're a manager at a cost center, your responsibility involves only um the management of costs. Kung ano yung mga purchases mo or the mga expenses or cost of making a product. Your responsibility is only within that within that scope in a cost center. Next we so let's say for example, ito yung purchasing manager, ito yung mga job responsibilities niya. How then do we evaluate the manager in a cost center? So, from the job description itself, the cost managers are evaluated based primarily on their ability to manage or control costs. Kaya nga cost center. Next, you have the revenue center. So, revenue centers are managers are responsible for generating revenues for their segment of the business. Companies often give revenue center managers sales targets or quotas and then evaluate and reward them based on whether they meet those targets. So, sa revenue center, ang manager is responsible for generating revenue. So, kaya nga meron yan silang mga targets. So, example of it is ito, yung account manager online sales team. Ito yung mga job responsibilities niya. And how then do we evaluate such manager in a review center? Revenue center managers are evaluated primarily on their ability to meet revenue or sales goals. So, pag you're a revenue manager, you will be evaluated based on your ability to come up or to meet your target sales. Next, we have the profit centers. So, profit center managers are responsible for generating profits for the area of the business. So, unlike cost managers and revenue managers na responsible for cost and revenue respectively, the profit center managers are responsible for both the cost and the revenue. So, 'di ba, revenue minus cost that is profit. So, let's say for example, itong product manager sa iPhone, ito yung mga responsibilities niya. Then how do we evaluate them? How do we evaluate profit managers? So the most common method of evaluating profit manager is based on the segmented income statement or an income statement that is broken down by product line or other business segments. So ganun yan siya in-evaluate kung sa segment income niya, income statement is profitable ba or hindi. Lastly, we have the investment centers. So the managers there have the authority to make decisions about how and where to invest the company's asset to drive long-term profitability. So they have more responsibility than cost, revenue, and profit center managers because they are also responsible for investing the company's assets. So yeah, say for example of an investment manager is the real estate manager. So paano ba natin siya i-evaluate? So, in addition to being responsible for profitability, the investment center managers have to make decisions about how to invest the assets. As such, the metrics used now to evaluate investment center managers must take into account both profitability and the amount of investment used to generate that profitability. So, there are different types of evaluation as to uh, there are different kinds or types of how we should evaluate investment managers. So yeah, that's it for the lesson actually. Sa exam yung decentralization, responsibility accounting, it only involves the theories lang. I think that was 8 items at least, multiple choice and true or false. So within this material, you can actually answer the exam now within this material. So yeah, good luck and God bless to your exam, and I hope you do well.